Once upon a time, the Democratic Party stood for liberty, freedom of speech, and prosperity. It rode high on the legacy of JFK, the civil rights movement, and the promise of capitalism. Fast forward to today, it is barely a shadow of what it was. Now, it is a breeding ground of sociopaths, socialists, and Islamist sympathizers. New York just proved that point, big time. Zoran Mamdani, a 33-year-old self proclaimed democratic socialist, has declared victory in the Democratic primary for the New York City mayor, defeating none other than the former governor Andrew Cuomo. And yes, Cuomo also conceded his defeat. The numbers aren't final yet, but let's be honest, the deed's already done. The capital of capitalism has fallen to socialism. Let that sink in. The man now positioned to lead America's largest city is an unapologetic radical endorsed by the same crew that made headlines for their hostility to Israel and America's traditional allies. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and yes, the so-called Hamas caucus. Mamdani's rise is not because that he has any proven record or experience. It's just because that he packaged classic socialist ideas, free buses, rent freezes, universal health care for childs by taxing the rich into a TikTok-friendly campaign that captured angry, broke, and disillusioned migrant voters. That's it. He leveraged identity politics, social media clout, and anti-establishment buzz to bulldoze Cuomo, a man with decades of governance under his belt. And let's be a little brutally honest. There isn't any hope. It's just delusion. It's the same recipe that turned California into a hellhole: crime, drugs, homelessness, and taxes. New York is now walking straight into that fire, smiling. And yes, the warning signs, well, they were everywhere, but New Yorkers decided to avoid it all. Mamdani has openly supported the boycott of Israel, even after the October 7 terror attacks. He refused to denounce the term globalize the intifada, a phrase many Jewish Americans view as a call for violence. He slammed Israel for cutting electricity to Gaza Strip, calling it a horrific war crime, but conveniently also leaving Hamas's atrocities out of the picture. Actually, he defends it all under the cloak of human rights. Yes, the classic leftist shield for anti Western narratives. And yes, some Indians right now are gleefully claiming him as one of them because he campaigned in Hindi. Some of his videos are actually the old dialogues of famous Indian Bollywood star Amitabh Bachchan. But let's not kid ourselves here. He's as Indian as Kamala Harris is Indian. Technically accurate, but culturally irrelevant because he was born and brought up in Uganda and he became a US citizen in 2018. So yes, just 7 years old in United States and now he's set to become a mayor. What is his proven track record? Nobody knows. But yes, because he has a cute face, he is now becoming the mayor of New York City. And let's not forget, dear Indian Americans, Mamdani openly boycotted the Namaste Trump event, not because he hates Donald Trump, not because that he is against his policies. Definitely he's against his policies because he's from a different party, but because he hated the Indian Prime Minister. He trashed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for 2002 riots, and he regularly accuses India of Muslim persecution. He clearly despises India's leadership and policies. Yet, somehow, he is being celebrated in the Indian liberal circles. Also, as I mentioned before, born in Uganda, raised in New York, a US citizen only since 2018. And now, a possible mayor of New York City? Well, that's not just an American dream, that is an accelerated Trojan horse scenario. And if you think that this is progress, think again. This is how London got Sadiq Khan. This is how cities fall slowly, then all at once. New York has now handed over its future to a man with no real administrative experience, radical foreign policy views, and a dangerous soft spot for extremist narratives. The same New York that once stood as the crown jewel of Western urban culture is now staring down at the barrel of radical reset. The media like CNN and ABC might celebrate this as historic. Social media will hail him as fresh hope. But make no mistake, New Yorkers may have just voted for their own slow destruction. And in the end, when it all crumbles, rising crime, collapsing infrastructure, bankrupt budgets, don't say nobody warned you.